Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft, and joining me, as always, Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp. How you guys doing today?
Doing good, but it's springtime.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean how you dress?
Yeah, you see it right here, Skip. I got tired of it the last 11 weeks wearing Lululemon.
Really?
Hey, Lulu, y'all need to send me Jenny and Skip something. But anyway.
That looks really good.
That look good, yeah.
It looks a lot better than what you had on yesterday.
Oh.
How are you, Shannon?
I'm good. I had my Walter on yesterday. That was my Walter.
Every single day. We just get a little fashion in the show, always. Both of you guys look very good, and we have a packed show, so let's get to the latest with NASCAR. It took just 2 days for NASCAR to ban Confederate flags from racetracks after driver Bubba Wallace said it was the right thing to do in an interview on Monday night. Last night, Bubba said bravo and props to NASCAR for getting it done. Shannon, are you surprised NASCAR acted so quickly to ban the Confederate flag?
I am not, Skip. I think the thing now, especially in the current climate, I don't really think they had a choice. Now, Skip, I believe there could have been pressure on NASCAR to get rid of this Confederate flag a lot earlier. If their broadcast partners and every major network has had the broadcast rights to NASCAR, CBS, NBC, and currently on Fox. Also, you have to look at where their sponsors are heading. Look at how strong they're coming out against racism, saying Black Lives Matter, and saying they're going to be more inclusive. So I don't really see a choice that NASCAR really had in this matter, Skip. But I will commend them on this. It is very hard to do something that's unpopular. With their fan base, this is a very unpopular decision. Now, Skip, I know you don't really look at Twitter, but if you look at when they posted that on Twitter and look at some of the comments that they had up under that, it will let you know that a lot of people are not happy about this transition. That Confederate flag.
A lot of NASCAR fans.
Yes,
I'm sure they're not.
Yes.
Yep.
But, Skip, it makes no sense to me. Now, there's no question in my mind, had they won the Civil War, that would be the flag, unless we had to go to war again. Skip, that was going to be the flag. Because they were more proud of that flag than they were the actual, because the American flag, for them, it didn't stand for what it supposedly stood for. Okay. And I was thinking about it, I was like, hold on. And you hear people say, well, it's a source of pride in its heritage. They don't fly the Nazi flag in Germany, Skip. It's a part of history, isn't it? It's a part of history they're not proud of, but they don't display it. And you don't get to catch the L and then fly your flag everywhere. South, you caught the L. Take it down. And I'm glad NASCAR did that, Skip. And plus, Bubba Wallace, I think him coming out as strong as he was, he's the only full-time, in a very long time, Black, African-American, whatever he identifies as, that drives NASCAR. And Skip, I'm sure it probably made him feel very, very uncomfortable to go there and to see that and to know what that flag represents. So I will commend NASCAR on that, because this was a very unpopular decision given the demographics of their fan base. And a lot of people identify with that flag. And in the South, in some places, that flag is more prominent than the American flag. Yeah. So for them to do that and say, you know what, the time is right. But Skip, given the current climate, I don't really know if they had a choice in this matter, considering the broadcast partner and considering the sponsors and what they're saying and what they're doing. I really don't know if they had a choice, but I'm sure it's still very difficult given the fan base. It kind of like, Skip, with the kneeling protest. A lot of the fan base of the NFL didn't like the kneeling protest during the anthem. Mm-hmm. And so that's why the NFL, so if the NFL had doing what they're doing now, which would have been unpopular back then, they would have been lauded. But now, even though they're doing it, I'm going to give them a little credit, Skip, even though it's never too, and I'm a firm believer in this, Skip, it's never too late to do the right thing. Oh. Should it have happened earlier? Sure, absolutely. I think everybody could have did it. For the most logical and rational and prudent people, say, yeah, this should have been happening. Yep. But it's happening now. Mm-hmm. It's the right thing to do, and I'm glad NASCAR did it.
So, I hear everything you just said, but still, I was shocked it happened that fast. I thought it might take a few days. I thought maybe it even take a few weeks. Obviously, they are risking, as you just pointed out by the comments you're reading, they are risking alienating a pretty good chunk of their fandom, a large segment.
One of the truck drivers says he's retiring. Says, I don't want to be a part of this. He's like, I don't really care about the Confederate flag, but you should be allowed to fly whatever flag you want to fly. He says, I'm not. So he posted that he's selling everything.
So I was so proud of NASCAR because it didn't take an hour. And it was like, no, boom, done, over. Now, I will point out that the previous chairman of NASCAR, Brian France, back in 2015, he tried to pull this off then. So he was a little ahead of the curve in a great way.
Right.
And so 5 years ago, he said, let's make a policy banning the Confederate flag. And they instituted the policy without any teeth in the policy.
Right.
And much of the fandom just ignored the policy. And they did not try to over-police the policy.
Right.
They did offer at the concession stand, they would trade you a brand new American flag for your old.
No deal. No deal.
deal. And they said they had very few takers.
Exactly.
And so they left the policy in place for 5 years, which said we are disallowing, whatever that exactly means, we are disallowing the flying of the Confederate flag by our fans at our venues.
Yes.
Well, but they didn't police it.
Right.
And even now, the next step is, can you police it?
Yeah.
Because they will defy this edict.
Of course
They will try to fly it. And remember, in the infield of some of these vast racetracks, it's just huge. It's like the Kentucky Derby infield, except it's full of RVs.
Yep.
And every
with big old Confederate flags flying on top of RV.
So,
You're right.
So now we're not sure, how do you police? Do you go in, do you crack down? Do you remove?
Yep.
Do you ban spectators? The way we're going to talk about later, Fenway Park has had to start banning season ticket holders.
Because a lot of times, Skip, they would come, they would have the, just like you see on the American flag, they would have the Confederate flag draped around their shoulders.
Yeah.
So if you see it on them, you're not allowed to come in with that. And if you hang it, once you get inside, we're going to take it down. And if you resist, we're going to ask you to leave. It's as simple as that, Skip.
Okay. So and I know it's going to be a vast area to police, and there might be literally thousands of Confederate flags defiantly flying, and you're going to have the security task force in place to be able to go from RV to RV. Nope. Sorry. You're going to have to leave unless you pull it down.
Correct.
And it could be, quote unquote, sort of open warfare. I'm not saying there'd be any skirmishes, but people might just be very defiant.
Of course, there's going to be resistance at first, Skip.
Yes,
absolutely.
There will be. But I still say this is all because of a new day. And I'm with you. The tide has turned. We hit a tipping point that turned into a turning point. And what it finally took was, as we keep talking about, we were forced to watch a white cop murder an unarmed black man in broad daylight. That's what it took to open not just America's eyes, the world's eyes and ears to the issue at hand.
Especially the people that we've been trying to knock on their door and get their attention for the longest time.
For the longest time. Well, this is it. This is the sort of precipice of this turning point is this flag.
Yep.
Because look, I went to school at Vanderbilt with some kids who said, look, it doesn't represent racism or slavery to me. It's just my pride in the Deep South. Okay, but it was flown by the Confederacy, which was attempting to win a war against the North, to be able to maintain slavery as the basis of the economics in the South, right?
That's what it was about.
Okay, so that's what that war was about, and hundreds of thousands of men died in that war. And as we all know, and you correctly pointed out for sure, the South took the L. It was close for a while, but they took the L.
Right.
And in the end, you can't hang on to what is now, to me, the last vestige of racism in this country, of slavery. The last vestige of symbolic slavery is in that flag. Whether you say it's just Deep South pride or not, that's still what it originally stood for.
But you know what, Skip? Everybody says it's just about pride. But why do all the racist groups fly that flag if that's not what it represents?
Yep. Okay.
I've never understood that. No, we're not. It doesn't mean that. But why do all the racist groups, why do they always fly that flag? You look at the nationalists, you look at the supremacists, you look at whatever, Skip.
Okay.
All right. Why is that flag so prominent? It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter if it's America. It doesn't matter if it's Germany. It doesn't matter where they are. It doesn't matter the nationality. If you have a belief and you practice racism, you believe in racism, you believe that whites are superior, why do they always carry that flag if that's not what it represents?
Okay. And what is effectively the caption always underneath that Confederate flag? The South shall rise again.
Yes. So what does that mean, Skip? Because when you're at your absolute best, business was booming through slavery. Whites were deemed the superior. That's why they kept the black suppressed. That's why they kept them in slavery. So in other words, if they shall rise again, what, Skip? They're going to return to the old. No.
Okay. No. So I say also bravo to NASCAR because there's some financial risk here,
absolutely.
Right? And yet, long term, I'm hoping that short-term loss will mean long-term gain.
Right.
Maybe it brings a new wave of younger fans in who say, oh, it's a cool organization.
Right.
They took a stand.
Right.
Right? And I keep bringing up the fact that early in those protests that we watched on TV,